Hi there, welcome. My name is Tamara and I'm with Fifaltra Crochet, and today we are going to be making a cute little Christmas gift that I think would just look stunning on any Christmas tree. And that is these little gift card pocket Santas. So they are generous in their size and they can fit in multiple cards, as well as some candy and other goodies. And it even has a little loop to hang right on the Christmas tree, which I think is just perfect. In order to make this, it is beginner friendly because we're only working in single crochets. And you just need a few things. One being, of course, our crochet hook. I used a 4.5 millimeter hook. You can use whatever you like. I did try it with a 3.5 millimeter. I found it was a little bit too stiff for my liking, but maybe that's what you want to go for. Totally valid. Optionally, you need a stitch marker. I do that just so that I don't have to count as much. You need a tapestry needle or a yarn needle. That way you can, sew in your ends. Then 3 colors of yarn. First and foremost, you need a white. I'm using the Bernays Softie, which has this amazing shimmer in it. The camera does not pick it up all that great, but trust me, in person it looks like sparkling snow. Then you need some kind of skin tone. I am using Red Heart Super Saver in the color Aran, but you can use a tan, a brown, whatever you like. And lastly, you need a color for the hat. In this case, I'm using green. Let's get started. So first and foremost, you're going to have to make a slip knot. If you don't know how to do that, this is the way I like to do it. I take my yarn, I wrap it twice around my finger, I grab the bottom one, pull it over the top, then I grab the bottom one again and pull it over my finger. Just like that, we have a slip knot and we can put it onto our crochet hook. Now to get started with row 1, you're going to need to chain 2. To chain, you put your hook underneath, turn it, and pull through. Do that twice. And then we're going to be working into that second chain, like the first one that we made. And we're going to make 2 single crochets. So stick your hook through that chain, grab your yarn, pull it up. You have 2 loops on your hook. You yarn over, just like you were with the chain, and you pull through. That's number 1. We do that again. Number 2. That's round 1. You can pull that so that's a little bit tight. That's our tip. For round 2, we chain 1, we turn our work, and we work 2 single crochets into the first stitch. 1, 2, and then 2 more into the other one. Might be a little hard to get it through, but just be patient and work at it. It would help if you have less tight tension than me. Okay, there we go. And then 2 more, so 3 and 4. So for round 2, you have 4 single crochets. And what I like to do here is I take my stitch marker and I put it on the side that I increased from. So that's the opposite side of where we are. And what this does is it just gives me a little visual reminder that when I am going this way, I am increasing. And when I'm going this way, it's just straight single crochets. So from now on, I'm not going to show all the repeats. I'll just kind of walk you through each row. Okay, so for round 3, this is a non-increase row. So we chain one and we turn. And we're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the 4 stitches, and I will be back at the end of the row. All right, welcome back. So I have done my 4 single crochets and chained one. At the end of every row, we are going to chain one. So for the next row, which is row 1, 2, 3, 4, it's row number 4, we are going to increase in the first stitch. So 1, and again into the same stitch, 2, then we're going to single crochet 1 in the next 2 stitches, so 3 and 4. Finally, in the last stitch, we're going to put 2 more single crochets. So, and 5, 6. So you should have a total of 6 single crochets in this round. You can start to see it's turning into a bit of a triangle. So on every increase row, we're going to increase in the first and last stitch. So let's go to the next row, which is row number 5. This one is just single crochet for 6 stitches across. I'll meet you back at the end. All right, so here we are. I have done my 6 stitches across. Chain 1, turn your work. This round is again an increase round, and I will do it again with you just to kind of reinforce it. So into the first stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And then we are going to single crochet into 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. So here's number 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 stitches into the last one, 5, 6. Okay, so that is actually a total of 8 stitches because we did 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8. So we're going to continue this pattern of doing 1 row of increase and 1 row of single crochets until we have a total across of 22 stitches. And I'll come back when we get to that point to show you how to finish off the front of your gnome. So welcome back. At the end of row 21, your work should look something like this. You are ending on a non-increase row. So because this is the front of our project, we want to make it look nice. You can take out the stitch marker for now. And what I like to do now is I like to do slip stitches all the way across. So to do a slip stitch, you're going to chain 1, turn your work just per usual. And then right in that first one, you're going to take your hook, you're going to yarn over, but instead of pulling it up like this, you're just going to pull it right through. And so we're going to do that the whole way across. Again, you're putting it through, pulling up a loop, and then immediately pulling it through the second loop. It just gives a nice finished edge. So I'm just going to come here and just finish it with you on camera. So you should have at the end of this row 22 stitches. Almost there. Tend to be a relatively slow crocheter, so this is your reminder that doesn't matter how fast or how slow you crochet, as long as you have something at the end that you love. It's slow fashion for a reason. Don't believe all those TikToks that, you know, they'll have you believe they make like 50 shirts in a day or something like that. That's just unrealistic. All right, so we're coming to the end. There's one, and the very last one is in this little corner here. Don't forget it, otherwise you won't have that nice crisp edge. All right, so we have all of our, and you can see how it like creates like a little ridge. Now we're gonna pull through a chain and then just a little bit, take a pair of scissors, cut that. Then I'm just going to put away, I believe, like, just let me count something very quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. I don't need this for now. All right. So we're now going to take our tapestry needle and we're just going to weave in our ends. I find doing it now instead of weaving it in as we go just gives a little bit more polished of a piece, especially for something like this that's flat. For amigurumi, you can get away a little with a little more, but so I just take it, I thread it through, and then I just go through a few leading downwards in a way that you can't see it. You don't want it to take away from your lovely work. Pull it through, and mine did not want to go through because it is splitting. Okay, so let's try that again. I should have leave a little bit longer of a tail than what I did, because it'll just make your life so much easier. All right. I just like to do that. You can go through a little more times if you leave a little bit more of a tail. Cut off the excess. Do the same thing for the bottom. This one I like to be a little bit more thorough with, just because it is, you know, associated with our slip stitch at the beginning. Don't want anything to unravel. And for this, I want to keep that point, so I usually go through the other side first, just so I can make sure I keep that point nice and sharp. Make sure to shape it as you go, see? Just makes a little mound, it looks nicer. If we would have went the other way, it would have had that unfinished edge. And then with this, I like to go a couple in 2 different directions. So I went up, so now I'm going towards the left, and then I'm going to go down through the bottom again. And that just makes sure it is all nice and, you know, it's not going to come unraveled. And where's my little suit sprite? Right there. Maybe I'll do a tutorial for this guy someday too. Okay, so now that our piece is done, we're going to make another that is exactly like this, except we are not going to do the row of slip stitches across the top. So it's just going to be 21 rows, not the 22. I have one right here. I have not. And of course, we are also going to put our tails to bed, so to speak, which I should have done before, but I didn't. So we're just going to do it together. So we've finished our 21 rows, and once again, we're going to go down with this one and trim. And then also the bottom piece. And this is what's going to make our little Santa beard pouch. Again, we don't want to lose that nice little point. So we're going to go in the same way as our yarn tail is and go down. And then shape it so that it's the shape that we want it. You don't want to pull too tightly, otherwise you're going to lose that shape. And again, I did not leave quite a long enough tail to do multiple passes. That is okay because we are going to be single crocheting the whole way around as well. So now that we have that, we are piecing these two pieces together like so. And we are going to single crochet from here to the tip and back up. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go into this corner through the front piece, through the back piece. We're going to take our yarn, which I should have grabbed. Okay. And we're going to pull it through, leaving a little bit of a tail. Because it's like making a slip stitch, but in the work itself. So you're going to leave the tail part to the front. You can hold on to it if you want. That way you get a nice taut thing. You're going to chain one. You're going to go back into that same stitch, making sure you're going through both the front and the back. And you're going to do a single crochet. And then I just like to give this little tail piece a nice little tug. And then I do crochet over the tail for this part. So it's another piece you have to make sure you're going over. But you're going to do one single crochet in each row. So you're going to do 21 single crochets the whole way down, or as close to as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect, just make sure it looks even. Making sure to attach the front piece with the back piece. Because otherwise, what are you going to have to put pieces into? I'm going to come back when we reach the bottom of the piece, because it's a little different on how we get to this bottom and up the other way. Be right back. Okay, so we've gotten to the end. I have just done one single crochet in the very bottom where like our first chain 2 was. Then I'm going to chain 1 into the same stitch on the other side. I'm going to put 1 single crochet and it'll help make that rounded edge. And then I'm just going to continue on the other side, making sure that everything is aligned nice and neat, and continue to put single crochets all the way up from the bottom up to this edge, making sure to leave this top part open. I'll meet you back there. Okay, so we are done going around. We now have a nice little triangle shaped pocket. We are going to fasten this off and weave in our end, and then we're going to move on towards the nose. So I leave a bit of a longer tail this time because I learned my lesson, apparently. Maybe. It should sit mostly flat. If you have to kind of push it a little bit, that's okay. It will eventually lay flat. Okay. Make sure when you're doing this part that you're not sewing this closed. You don't want that to be closed. So you can go either across, go just into the these side stitches that we just created. What I like to do is, in this case, I don't much like how my corner looks. It's a little bit misshapen, so I'm just going to go through the back. Take that, and that way it's a little bit more shaped. And I'm going to rethread it, and then I like to do a little bit of a knot, and the way that I do this is I will take my embroidery needle, I'll go through a couple things, and then I'll just loop it around. Like this, and pull. And then we can trim. And then we're going to set that to the side for the moment while we work on the nose. So we have this. We're going to work on the nose, and then we're going to start working into the back. So it's important to know like which side is your front, which side is your back. Of course, because I did my slip stitches in the front, I know that this side is my front piece. So I'd be working into here. But let's set that aside and grab our skin tone yarn. And we are going to work in a circle. And it's very, very, very simple. I do not like magic rings. I find that eventually they always fall out, so you will never see a magic ring on this channel because I go for longevity. So what I do instead is I take my yarn, I chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then attach it into a circle by putting my hook into the first stitch. Make sure you're getting both loops, otherwise it can look a little funky. And that can sometimes take a little bit of time. It's pretty tight. Again, if your tension is a bit looser than mine, all the better. But yeah, you'll make like a little, it's almost like a little smiley face or a little upside down rainbow. And then you're going to yarn over, pull through both sets of loops to make a little donut. There's a little tiny hole in the center. That's where we're going to be working into. And I like to work over the tail so I can pull it tight at the end. So I go into the middle of the donut, and I'm going to do 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and around here when I notice my tail is getting a little bit short, I like to give it a good tug because it closes it right back out and it gives us a little more to work with. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and after this 1 more, and 6. Okay, so that is our round 1. Now we're going to locate our first stitch, which I'm going to show you with the stitch marker because you would think it's right here, but it's not. It's actually right here. So you can see it's quite far away from where our last single crochet is. If you put it in here, you will end up with an extra stitch. So for round 2, what we're going to do is go into that first stitch, and you can leave this off to the side now. We can weave it in later. Go through both loops and put 2 single crochets. You're going to do that in every stitch there, so all 6 stitches, for a total of 12 stitches. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if we count our stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now I'm just going to triple check. I should have written down this pattern. Yeah, we're going to do one more increase. But we're going to do this in this pattern. So right now we have 12 stitches. We're going to do one single crochet in the first. And then what I like to do here is I like to go back and mark my last stitch so I don't have to count as much. You can also count. We're going up to 18 stitches. So the first one, it's one single crochet. In the next one, we do an increase. So 1, and then go back into the same stitch for number 2. We're gonna continue to do that the whole way around. So we have 18 stitches at the end. So one single crochet, I'll do it one more time with you. One single crochet and one increase. I'll come back with you at the end of this row. Okay, so we're at the end of this row. What we're going to do is we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 1, and fasten off with a long tail because we're going to use that to sew it onto our gnome once it is ready. Just like that. I'm also going to go and trim this on the back. It can just be cut down. There we go. So that's our little nose. We are now going to come back to our white piece. And again, we will be working into the back portion. Finding the first stitch, which would be right here. Take our skin colored yarn again. Find that first stitch and do that same type of casting on that I showed you for attaching the two pieces together. And we're just going to make a row of single crochets across. Only the back. So it'll be 22 stitches. I'll meet you back here once we have that. Okay, so I have done 22 stitches across. You'll see I did not go into the part where we did all the single crochets around. I left that one alone. What you can do though, if you don't like the gap it creates, is just go into that and do a slip stitch. I am not going to do that though. It's just a good way to eliminate that little bit of a gap. There, that's actually a little better. Then you're going to chain 1. You're going to go back down the other way and stop at the last stitch because we are going to do a color change there, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, so we have done 21 stitches and I have cut my yarn short. You can wait to do that or do as I did. It really depends on your preference. I typically like to cut it before because that means I'm not fighting with 2 different types of yarn. I'm not going to need my stitch marker anymore, but okay, so now we're taking the green, have it at the ready, because what we're going to do is we're going to start our single crochet. We're going to pull up 2 loops, and then we're going to take our green yarn or whatever color you're making the hat with, and we're gonna loop it around like that and pull it through. And that is how we're going to do our color chain. Now, you can choose to just weave in the ends, or you can do a little knot too if you want a little bit of extra security, which is what I'm going to do now. Just be careful not to do it too tight because you still want to be able to utilize the slip knot. And now we're on to the hat. Now, the hat portion is just the white portion of it in reverse. So we are going to have to start with one row across of just single crochets. So we have 22 single crochets across in the green. I like to crochet over top of all my strings. Even though they're knotted together, I feel it gives me a little bit more security, less things to weave in at the end. You can choose to weave it in with your embroidery needle at the end as well if you're not comfortable crocheting over top of it. So I will meet you back at the end of this row so we can start on the decreases, and I'll show you how to do a regular decrease. This one, it doesn't make much of a difference to do the invisible decrease. I think it just adds extra time, so I don't do it for this. I typically use the invisible decrease when I'm doing like amigurumi and things like that. For something like this, it's not a big deal. Anyways, do 22 single crochets across, and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so we're back. This is what it should look like now. We have our first row of green. We're in the home stretch now. So what I would have you do now is take your lovely little stitch marker and you're going to pop it into that last stitch there. I usually do it just underneath because this is not actually counting the row. It's just giving me a visual reminder of where I am decreasing. So just like before when we increase, when we go this way, we are decreasing. When we go this way, it is just regular single crochet. So it's a 2-row repeat. And the way we do a decrease is pretty simple. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work. It's very similar to doing the color change actually. So you're going to pull up a loop in the first stitch, go to the second stitch, pull up a loop as well. So you have 2 stitches involved, 3 loops on your hook, and you're just going to pull through all 3. You're going to do that in the first and the first 2 stitches and the last 2 stitches. So I'll do this one with you. So we're going to continue going across just normal single crochets, just like we've been doing this entire time. Yep. We're about halfway there now. Some of you might have sped along and are at the end already. I know I do that a lot. Eventually, I'll put like the pattern on the screen so that all you Speedy McGonzalez's can just like take a look at the row number and then, you know, speed along. I think that's totally legit. We are all working with the time that we have. Okay, so I have 4 stitches left. I'm going to do the last 2 single crochets. And then we're going to work our decrease into these last 2. So once more, we start a single crochet in the first stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up another loop, pull through all 3 loops. And you'll see it kind of pulls it a little bit to the side. That's our decrease. Chain 1, turn, and this row is just because we're going towards our stitch marker. It's just single crochets across. So we're going to repeat those patterns. So pattern row 1 and 2. So regular and then decrease until you have 2 stitches left. And I will meet you back there because after that it is just the finishing touches. Okay, so we are now all the way down to 2 and just fasten off as normal. Now you can either leave it like this or do a single crochet on the sides. I like to do a single crochet on the side, and when I get to the tip I add a loop, and I'll show you how to do that. But first, as always, we are going to take off our stitch marker because we no longer need it, and we're going to weave in our ends. So we are going to maintain the way we were going. So it's going up this way. So I'm going to go back down through here. That just is going to give it a rounded tip. Easier to work with afterwards. So you see how that rounds out the tip. Makes it look a little bit more uniform, not as bumpy. That's the same reason why I do single crochets around, is it looks less bumpy, looks more finished. I like it that way, but if you prefer the other way, you can just leave it like this too. It is still cute. Okay, so I'm gonna cut off the end of it and put away my needle. We're gonna need to do that at least one more time. Okay, so we're gonna take our green yarn again, and we don't want to attach into this part. We're gonna leave that as is. We're just gonna attach right into the first colored loop. Just like so. Make sure going through everything, leaving a little bit more tail than that. Chain 1, make a single crochet in that same stitch. There we go. Now we're just going to do the same thing we did with the white and put 1 single crochet into each row, as much as you can to make it look nice and uniform. And when we get up to the top, I'm going to show you how we create the little loop, because it's a little bit different than what we did on the bottom. Okay, so I've done the one side. You can see it has a nice finished edge. I've gotten up to the top. Next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to chain about 20. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And you can do as many or as little as you want. I find that this gives a nice little, amount to hang. And then you're going to go back down into the next stitch, and you're just going to slip stitch it. You can see that creates a nice little chain. And then we're just going to continue as before, doing single crochets the whole way down until we hit about here, and we're going to fasten off and then weave in our ends, and then I'm going to show you how to put on the nose. Okay, so we only have one more thing to do for our little Santa, elf, or gnome, depending on what color, the hat is, and that's to attach the nose. Remember we left a long tail? So we're going to take this front pouch and put it about in the center, only through the front. So we are going to thread our nose onto our little needle, making sure not to let the yarn split like mine just did. I usually like to use the ones with the wider open like spaces, like they have like almost like a fishing line to them, but I lost my last one like that, so we have to sometimes make do with what we have. So what I like to do, I like to take this and thread it down into the middle hole, like so. I put it where I want it. I take that, I go through the back, and you see how, you can't see how that's on there? Now I'm just going to do a couple stitches that way, a couple stitches that way, go back through the middle, go back through the middle again, and tie off in the back. And afterwards, we'll just come back and admire our beautiful project together. All right, so there we have it. We have some really cute little gnomes, perfect for hanging our little gifts, maybe treats or gift cards, or just, you know, to use as part of an advent calendar. You can put like little numbers, you can embroider little numbers on them. But this is what we made today together. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, make sure to leave a like, maybe a comment saying how you found the tutorial, anything that I could improve on. I know the setup is not the best yet. I wanted to get this out given that it's coming up to the holidays. And if you could maybe subscribe to me as well. I'm only going to get better. And I can't wait to hear about your all the variations that you're going to do with this. Thanks for watching and have a great night. Bye.